Sisters in spirit. 12 days had passed. 12 days without a word from her brother. It made me wonder if all men were destined to disappear. I often joked to myself that it was a talent my brother had mastered, a skill he seemed to share with every male in our family, including our father. The idea of family often invoked notions of warmth and closeness, but for us, it was so very different. I remember my grandma Jackie advising me to count my blessings, to find solace in the fact that I was not alone. But what exactly did that mean? To her, family was a gift, to me, an awkward burden. After all, wasn't it the role of a family to care for each other? Yet, my father's only contribution to my life was disappearing and reappearing like an actor playing a forgettable role in my story. The more I thought about it, the more muddled my concept of family became. People often painted these idyllic pictures, a typical Sunday barbecue, everyone laughing, sharing stories, and relishing each other's company. But for me, family was akin to a broken jigsaw puzzle, with pieces that never seemed to connect. My parents had not even bothered to legitimize their union before I came into the world. So here I was, stuck in this chaotic situation, longing for something that resembled a supportive family. Okay, so I'm not Cinderella. I wouldn't claim to be. No evil stepmother demanding that I scrub floors until they glisten. Instead, I found myself cleaning up the remnants of my family's indifference. My particular obsession with order made me feel like I was always grasping for control in a space where chaos reigned supreme. I had my own struggles to deal with, ones that often felt insurmountable, given the fractured nature of my home life. When I thought about family types, a supportive unit was what I yearned for, a group of people together, navigating life's challenges. Yet, there really wasn't a supportive connection in my life. My parents had checked out, emotionally, quite possibly physically, too. Their version of parenting meant little more than monetary support and the occasional unhelpful advice, if I ever bothered to ask. I felt as if I were a lone ship adrift in choppy waters, desperate for a lighthouse. Then came my saving grace, Melissa. An unexpected friend whose presence in my life became a refuge from the storms of my home. With her, I felt safe sharing the realities of life, Mom's eccentricities and Dad's frequent absences. Melissa's spirit was contagious, her laughter could light up the darkest corners of my world. She had her own tales of family dysfunction, her own battles against a mother who rigidly enforced her beliefs. But unlike me, she found a way to simultaneously rebel against and embrace her roots. It was during one of our long talks at the local coffee shop that she divulged to me her plans for the future. I want to build a family of my own, a real one, with love and acceptance, she said, her eyes widening with excitement. I don't want the chaos that we both know too well. We would sit in an intimate corner of that cafe, entangled in conversation about dreams and aspirations, our hopes for the kind of family we craved. We spoke of creating bonds that thrived on understanding and support, far removed from the unpredictability of our current lives. There we were, two girls without a traditional family to lean on, contemplating the future we believed we could carve out for ourselves. As days turned into weeks, I found myself reluctant to return home, where chaos awaited. I instead enjoyed moments of tranquility at Melissa's, savoring her own eclectic family environment. Her home, while far from being conventional, radiated warmth, a stark contrast to the isolation of my own. Her mother, quirky as she was, embraced us with open arms, welcoming us into a life filled with countless pets and laughter. We both shared our struggles and victories, not unlike sisters searching for grounding in a world that sometimes felt utterly disoriented. Melissa was my compass, always encouraging and steadfast, urging me to embrace who I was, and to envision a life brightened by love. In those moments spent together, I realized that family wasn't solely tied to bloodlines or societal norms. It was stitched together by choice, by shared experiences, and the kindness we extended towards one another. So, while my own family might remain a melting pot of dysfunction, I had found a bond with Melissa, one that I would nurture and cherish. With her, I dared to dream of the life we wanted to build, one not governed by the disarray of our pasts but filled with the love and understanding that we both desired deep down. We were navigating the complexities of our lives together, ready to embrace the journey ahead, and it felt like enough. It felt like home. As the weeks drifted by, the connection between Melissa and me blossomed into an unwavering bond that felt more like family than anything I had ever known. We shared late-night talks that meandered from our hopes and fears to our favorite movies, while sipping coffee and munching on the pastries Melissa would sneak into her room, hiding them from her ever-watchful mother. One evening, after a particularly arduous week dealing with my chaotic home life, I found myself at Melissa's doorstep. Her mom opened the door, her face breaking into a warm smile at the sight of me. "Just in time for dinner," she exclaimed, motioning me to come in. Dinner at Melissa's was always a lively affair. Her mom had a knack for turning a simple meal into a feast through laughter and storytelling, sharing quirky tidbits about the various animals that filled their home. As we gathered around the table, Melissa and I exchanged amused glances over the sheer chaos: dogs barking, cats weaving between our legs, and various smaller pets scurrying about. Yet, it all felt perfectly normal in this warm cocoon of acceptance. As the evening wore on, I caught myself swaying to the rhythm of our laughter, feeling the tension in my shoulders melt away. Over dessert, while a troop of kittens darted playfully around the dining room, Melissa proposed the idea that had been brewing in her mind for some time. "What if we started a club?" she said, excitement sparkling in her eyes. "A safe space for LGBTQ+ youth to hang out, share their stories, and support one another." This was not just a flight of fancy. It was a vision that pulled at some primal thread within me. I nodded eagerly. "That's brilliant. We can meet in parks or at the community center, anywhere people can feel free and at ease." "What should we call it?" Melissa mused, tapping her chin thoughtfully. "How about Sisters in Spirit?" I blurted out, and the words felt right on my tongue. We can be a safe haven for others like us, where they can feel love without the chaos. "Perfect," she replied, eyes sparkling. "Let's get started." With newfound energy, we poured ourselves into planning. We spent weekends brainstorming, creating flyers, and reaching out to local centers and online forums, promoting the idea of our club. As we navigated through our excitement, it became evident that other kids in our community craved the same sense of belonging we had fought to establish. The first meeting day arrived, bathed in sunshine and peppered with nervous energy. We chose a nearby park, a vibrant space filled with lush grass and colorful flowers. Melissa and I set up a picnic blanket beneath a sprawling oak tree, a cozy corner that felt inviting and safe. As the hour approached, I could hardly contain my anticipation. Would anyone come? Would it be an utter disaster? I turned to Melissa, whose confidence seemed to radiate outward. "No matter what happens, we've done something amazing," I said, trying to calm my nerves. People began to filter in, first one, then another, until the blanket was surrounded by a small crowd of curious faces.